Hey YouTube, so this is a vlog that I was debating whether I should make for a while now. And I was inspired by another vlogger, I guess you would call it, on YouTube that I saw a video about maybe a year or two ago. And I felt like she was very brave for talking about this topic, and I felt that it was very helpful to me, and you feel like you're not alone because it's not something that you hear about often. So what I'm speaking about is something called Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome, and this is in its most simplest form of explanation, it's a type of dysautonomia or a condition of dysautonomia where your heart rate is very excessive and it increases upon standing, a large increase, usually anywhere from 30 beats per minute to 120 beats per minute, and is usually accompanied with a fall in blood pressure. Now, I know I just said a lot, and you're like, okay, what? But the easiest way to explain this is a complicated way, if that makes any sense. You can't understand POTS until you understand dysautonomia. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this first part. I'm going to try and make this video in two parts, but it's a lot to say, so I'm going to try and do it in two parts. And dysautonomia is my camera just froze. Okay. Dysautonomia is a condition of a malfunction of the autonomic nervous system, and your nervous system is divided into two parts. There's a voluntary and an involuntary part, and your autonomic nervous system is the involuntary part. The parts of your body that it controls are things that you don't have to think about. Breathing, heart rate, digestion, pupil dilation, urination, sexual arousal, and a few other things are all controlled by this part of your nervous system. And when this part of your nervous system fails, everything is affected. So there's so many different conditions that fall underneath dysautonomia, and from reading about a lot of different things, it seems that like whatever your worst symptom is pretty much what you're categorized under. And for me, that would be POTS. And that's just the way that I've come to learn to understand it. To be perfectly honest with you, there's this show on TLC called Mystery Diagnosis. And if it had not been for that show, I would have never known what was wrong with me. I've been medicated before I saw the show on many different medications. I've been hospitalized, in and out of doctor's offices, a million tests run on me for doctors to say that, there's nothing wrong, but there's something wrong. And it was mind-boggling. And that's pretty much the premise of that show. These people are in and out of doctors, and they Google it most of the time, or they find one doctor who knows what they're going through. And when I watched this lady who had the same thing that I had, I was like, oh my God, that's me, that's me, that's me. And when I found out what it was, I Googled it, and I was like, that's me. Saw a specialist, and pretty much was officially diagnosed. My medications and treatment didn't change because I was already on the treatment for it. But it's like you finally have a name for it. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who might be experiencing the same kinds of things, but they just don't realize what it is, and they're being medicated and, seeing all these doctors, and they don't know why. And that's what happened to me for years. It was my freshman year. The first time I fainted was in elementary school. And when I found out what I had, I was already in college. That's a long time to a sophomore in college at that, I believe. That's a long time to be living with something and not know what it is. So, symptoms of POTS is the inability to stay standing for long periods of time. People need to understand that it takes people with POTS 3 times as much energy to go from a sitting or a laying down to an upright position. It's like you're constantly running a marathon. Your heart is is beating like crazy, crazy. I've had people ask me, why is your heart beating so fast? Are you nervous? Are you scared? Like boyfriends, for example, and we just be laying down, like watching TV or whatever, or sitting down or hugging or something, and they're like, are you nervous? And I'm like, no, that's just me, So that is one of the most noticeable symptoms of POTS. And fainting. Fainting is something that probably happens to every POTS patient at one point or another in their life. And it's actually what inspired me to make this video. I haven't fainted in years. But I was in the shower the other day, and I've gotten to the point where I can pretty much figure out when a episode is about to happen and stop it in its tracks. But this time I couldn't stop it, and I fainted, and it just kind of reminds you wow, this is what I went through for so long. There's also lightheadedness, dizziness, constant dizziness. I have problems with pupil dilation, digestive issues. Most POTS patients have, I think 1/2 to 2/3 of POTS patients have problems with digestion. And it was at a point one time, it was so bad that I wouldn't eat when I was in public, because I would never know how my body was going to react to it. If I was going to have excessive pain, cramping, bloating, you can get anything from constipation to diarrhea. There's so many different things that can go wrong and that would go wrong. And I remember I was dealing with this, and I had a date with this boy who I'm actually currently still, talking to. And we were going out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat, because I don't want something embarrassing to happen. I don't want to be sick for the rest of the night. I don't want to have to go home because I have this severe pain in my abdomen, and it would just be so embarrassing. But he wanted to eat, so I was trying to be safe about my choices, and it affects you in so many ways. And then there's the one symptom that people don't view as a symptom, but I think they just don't understand. Not that they don't view as a symptom, they don't understand. Tremendous fatigue. There are times when most POTS patients can't even get out of bed because you're so tired, because your heart is beating so fast all the time. I had a heart monitor. I had to wear it for 7 days. It reported beats of up to 250 beats per minute while I was sleeping. Imagine sleeping and your heart is racing. You should have a heart rate of 60 beats per minute when you're sleeping. And that is just, out of this world. That's nearly a heart attack, if not one. Immense chest pains. There's so many different things. And there's different ways to treat it, but there is no cure. And there will never be a cure. And I want to talk about, different aspects of this, and I'm gonna cut the video off here and start filming part 2 because I don't want to get cut off while I'm talking about it. So I will talk about treatment and a little bit more about the disorder in part 2. So catch part 2.